Welcome to How Preschool Teachers Do It.
This is Alison Kentos. I am an early childhood educator.
And this is Cindy Tarabush. I am an early childhood consultant.
This podcast is for parents and early childhood professionals.
Let our experience and research-based knowledge become your guide.
Hey, preschool peeps. In the fine 2-episode tradition of shouting out locations at the beginning of the episode, we're going to do that. Stick with us because we're going to talk about sibling rivalry, which can take place both at home and in early childhood programs. But first, Alison has an announcement about who is high in our statistics.
All right. High in the statistics this week is England in the United Kingdom. So hello, England.
Hey, listen, Princess Catherine, if you're listening because you like things having to do with early childhood, call us, contact us. We have a website, howpreschoolteachersdoit.com. Get in touch with us.
In touch.
We would be so happy, even though we are not British.
Oh, I know.
So happy to work with you in any way.
In any capacity whatsoever. And
including lady in waiting.
we would maybe break the whole no guest on the podcast for her.
I might just. Might just.
Okay.
So shout out Princess Catherine, who in the United Kingdom has championed early childhood and early childhood education.
Yes,
and we admire you for it. You go.
Yeah, we need champions like that.
That's a story for another day. Shout out somewhere in the United States.
In the United States, we're shouting out California, in particular Los Angeles. So hi, peeps.
Which I loved when I visited. I want to go back. I visited with my son. I was going to a professional conference and I took Scott with me.
Oh,
do you remember that? It was right before the pandemic.
We've really been talking a lot about pre-pandemic.
We really have. So I took Scott with me and we had a blast in LA. And I would love to go back with my husband. I had planned to do that. And then, pandemic and then life and then things.
Yeah.
But eventually I'm going to get back to LA because I thoroughly enjoyed my time there. So thanks those of you in England, in Los Angeles. Keep listening, keep recommending us to people. Stay here with us right now so that we can talk about sibling rivalry, which I know is a hot topic when you're raising children, but it can also impact things in an early childhood setting when you have siblings there. Sometimes siblings who are the same age, even twins, but not always the same age. We can still see signs of sibling rivalry. What I was facilitating a learning session in person for a parent enrichment group. And one of their big questions was, why is sibling rivalry such a thing? And what do we do about it? And so we were talking a lot about what causes it. The immediate assumption of many people is that the child is looking for attention. And that may be true. Yeah. The child might be misinterpreting a kind of attention that you pay to their sibling, but they get attention differently. You can be paying as much attention to every child as humanly possible. And there can still be children who are a little envious of some sort of attention that someone else got. But that isn't the only reason. People always jump to attention when we talk about children's behavior, as if that's the catch-all for everything that's going on with children. And that's not necessarily the case. One of the primary reasons that we see sibling rivalry with young children is because they're growing and learning and maturing and becoming individuals. Yeah. They're becoming more independent. And they're trying to exert their individuality. So it's really important that we find ways to let them do that, that they know that we see them as an individual. There are times, and I'm thinking particularly of families and early childhood classes, when we're all going to do this one thing together. We're going to do something together, right? At home, it might be we're all going to go to the park. We're all going to go visit a relative. We're all going to go to a particular family celebration or tradition. We're all doing this together, right? In early childhood programs, it's like we're all going to the playground together. We're all going to participate in this assembly of some sort or event together. We're all going to do the multicultural event. We're all going to do the end of the year event. We're all going to do this together. And then there are times when we have to demonstrate for children that we value them as an individual human being with their own likes, wants, talents, and interests. And maybe, Alison, you grew up with that differently than I did because you have a brother and I have sisters.
True.
Sometimes
Yeah.
sometimes in families, there's sort of an overlap. Like if one child is participating in a particular extracurricular, everybody gets enrolled.
Right.
Maybe in the past, it may have been more common when it was a gender-based thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully not so much now. Right.
Yeah.
But like if you're enrolling a child in dance, that doesn't mean we must all dance.
Yeah. Yes. True. I think that's true. I think for me, having a brother, he was very, very athletic, and I am not, and I'm still not. I enjoy watching sports, but I do not enjoy playing sports. But I will say my parents never forced me to do any sports. So that was nice.
Oh, that is nice.
That is nice. So, but if I was a male, I don't know if they would have said, hey, he's joining soccer, so are you. I don't know, because it would have been easy to just take us to the same practice at the same time. I don't know. But yeah, I was not like him at all in that respect.
There are probably many, many families raising children and educators who hone in on who is this child, what is their talent, their like, their
Yes.
interest. And so that's one way in which we're going to treat you as an individual. Many of you may be
Mhm.
doing that already.
Yeah.
And you may be thinking, well, I do treat these children as individuals. One of them goes to martial arts. The other one goes to piano. Another one
Yeah.
goes to dance. Like I'm not making them all do the same thing.
Right.
I think sometimes, especially in families, we start out saying, okay, we took your sibling to T-ball. You're going to go to T-ball. And part of it from the viewpoint of a parent is that I'm trying to figure out what you like.
Yes.
Right. The only way to figure out what you're going to like is to give you exposure to
Give
all
it
these
to
other
you.
things.
Yeah.
But then I think as quickly as possible, according to what Alison and I looked at in research, as quickly as possible, you have to hone in on what is your particular interest.
Right.
We're not going to make you do these other things
Right.
that are not. And we're going to focus in on you doing the martial arts and you doing the dance and
Yes.
you doing the piano lessons and you,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing, that isn't the only thing you need to do. The child needs to know, not only do you respect their individuality, but the whole family supports it.
Yes.
They need to know they're seen in order to avoid some of this rivalry,
Yes.
that everyone sees them, their interest, their talent, and supports it. And when I read this in these studies, I was reminded, I had Alison laughing earlier when I told her this. I was reminded of, so my older son is more creative, musical, my younger son more athletic. And I remember saying to my older son, Michael, let's go. We have to go watch your brother play baseball. And he was like, oh I don't want to go. And I was like, come on, we're all going to support your brother playing baseball. Let's go. I will buy you food. I will buy you gifts. I will do it. Right?
Whatever. But
We'll go to, do you want, like, what do you want to eat? Do you want some popcorn? I will get you something, but we're all going to support your brother.
Yeah.
There were also times on the flip side when I would say to Scott, get ready. We have Michael's piano recital tonight. And he was like, oh, don't make me go. And no, we're all going. We're going to sit through all of these people playing the piano to support your brother. And I didn't know at the time, honestly, I didn't know how valuable that was at the time. But I know now from reading the current information about sibling rivalry that somehow my husband and I stumbled on a very important thing to do. I don't know how we did, but we stumbled on a really important thing to do, which was we made sure Michael was there to show that he is supportive of his brother and Scott was there to show he is supportive of the other. Now, did they know the other one didn't want to come? Yeah, probably, but we went.
Yes.
Because we were teaching them you support the individual talents, abilities, interests of the other family members.
Right.
So there are times, even in an early childhood program, where we have to help siblings sort of applaud each other. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah. And I think also, at least because what happened in my childhood was more like my brother was very, very into sports. So he got to do whatever sports he wanted. If he said, hey, I want to join hockey next year, boom, they did it. And when I started saying, hey, I really would like to join a dance class, they didn't sign me up for dance class. So that's where it became not even.
I wonder why.
And they're like, they didn't force.
All right, never mind. Never mind. Oh my God.
I'm going to tell you offline.
if you are listening, she made a face.
because there's a story there. But
All
I'm
right,
not
never
going to
mind.
share
Never
it.
mind. I don't need to
I
know
will
why.
share it after.
I don't need to know why.
I think you know why.
All right, but go on.
But that's where it became uneven. They didn't force me to do the soccer and the hockey and all the stuff my brother did. But they also, when I said, hey, I'd like to join gymnastics and dance, they didn't sign me up for that. So then it became uneven. And here I was at all of my brother's soccer games, and he was never at anything of mine because there was nothing of mine. And that became where I started resenting him, which it wasn't his fault.
So interesting. I think an interesting question then is, there are two children, no matter where they are, because they spend a lot of time in early childhood programs too. So no matter where they are, there are two children. They are siblings.
Yeah.
One of them has very clearly defined interests.
Yes.
Or talents, or both.
Yeah.
The other one, not so clearly defined.
Yeah.
What do we do then?
Right.
We don't know what that, like, let's say you didn't go and say, I would like to do dance. And then we're told no. Like, what if they just didn't know what to do with you?
Yeah, I know.
Then,
like, do you then sign your child up and say, hey, let's try this and see if you like it? Or do you sit back and wait for the person to say something? I don't know. I don't know what the right thing is.
Maybe, I'm thinking of children who just love to sit and read.
I am a big reader. I will say
you
that.
are a
I
big
am
reader.
a big reader.
So, children who love to sit and read, maybe we spend some time as a family talking about what they've read.
That would be nice. That kind of goes back to like talking about books and how it's important. And why not at the dinner table ask, hey, Alison, what are you reading? Let's
Tell us about it.
Tell us about the book you're reading.
Yeah.
That would have been nice. But but that's not, because I think you're right. Like, if it's something that can't really be
ascertained, you don't know.
Okay. Yeah, true.
You don't know.
Or it's not a spectator kind of thing. How do you support the person? Because say you have a child who's really into writing, right? But then they're writing and whatever. It's not something that you would go to a recital for, but maybe they could share their writing with you if they're willing to do that.
Well, that's another thing. Like, I remember I've always liked writing, never thought I would write a nonfiction early childhood book, which is what ended up, but I always liked writing when I was young. And I don't know that I would have wanted to share everything. Right. I think if my family would have said, tell us what you're writing, I would have been like, why? Why do you want to know what I'm writing?
It's private,
right?
It's very personal. So it's up to me whether I get to share that or not.
Yeah, I think that there can be a lot of challenges with this and gray areas. The message I think we're trying to send is, it isn't just attention, folks. It's also, everybody has things that they're good at or interested in, and that has to be valued equally in the family by everybody. They need to know the sibling sees this about me.
Yes. It's like honoring their individuality.
Yeah.
It's honoring it. It's not even like it. I think that's a good way to put it. You're honoring it and you're celebrating who they are as individuals.
Right. And equally.
Yes.
If you can, but if you have a child who's like, well, why would you want to know what I'm writing? Even if they don't share it, you at least showed interest.
Show interest in
it. You at least showed some interest. So it's much more about them saying, look at me. I'm an individual. I'm not the same as all of you. And what is a child? Many children grow up like, I don't want to be the same as all these people I'm living with. And so we have to support that in really socially acceptable ways, and in ways where we even say to them, things about how much we value them, how much we value even statements about, how much we value the amount of help that they've given us with something, or the fact that they are getting older, they're maturing. We see you as a separate person. There are times when the smallest thing, like, for example, bedtime, could be the same for two children, but maybe they're not the same age, and one child should be going to bed at a different time than another.
Yeah. Or the routine you used as when they were younger is not the same routine that they need now.
Or the two children need a different routine.
Correct. Or they're just two different people, so they need two different ways of going to bed.
Right.
So why not individualize that?
Right. You're right.
Yeah.
Do you remember, I was the oldest child in my family. So I do remember like my bedtime would change and my sisters would,
And they
and there was a lot of, I think there was a little bit of jealousy there. But that's also part of, we see the older child is getting older. We respect that individuality. We're going to change your bedtime a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember my mother being like, she's older. That's why. So whatever it is you can grasp onto and celebrate about them being independent from you,
Yes.
from the family unit, from the class unit, from the school unit, anything that you can say, this is what makes you yourself special, is going to help them with that sibling rivalry, because they feel seen not just as part of a unit, but also as a person who is separate.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yay.
All right. We've solved all the world's problems. No, I don't think we did. No, but give that some thought, folks, because it's something that might or might not have been done when you were young. And it a lot of times, like for me, it was sort of incidental, but it really should be intentional. I did it just, I don't know why, but we did. And
it might have just been logistics.
It might have been
There's
get in the car.
There's going to be nobody here to watch you. You have no choice. Get in the car.
Get in the car. We're going to the ball game. It could have been.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful for it, whatever the logistics were that we had to deal with.
Yeah.
And maybe even talk to the siblings about how important it is to look a little enthusiastic.
Try.
I'll whatever. Just try to smile a little, because that'll matter to your sibling.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, we will catch you next time on the podcast, where we're going to be talking about something that I hope you do tune into, because it's something that for some reason makes people think, I don't want to do this with the children, or I can't do this with the children. It's not necessarily true. Yeah. So please come and learn what that is. And we will catch you next week on the podcast.